What if I told you that the greatest prison isn't made of steel? It's made of your own thoughts. Every success you've admired, every dream you've chased, every limitation you've accepted, all began in the mind. The moment you discipline your inner world, your outer world has no choice but to change. Tonight, we're not talking about changing your life. We're talking about changing the one thing that creates your life, your mind. The greatest discovery you can make is that your life is never changed from the outside first. It is always changed from the inside. Most people spend years trying to rearrange their circumstances. They change jobs, relationships, cities, routines, and habits, hoping that something out there will finally give them peace, confidence, or success. But sooner or later, they discover that wherever they go, they take the same mind with them. And if the mind remains unchanged, the results eventually become the same. Think about that for a moment. Two people can stand in the exact same situation. One sees opportunity. The other sees obstacles. One sees a lesson. The other sees failure. One walks away inspired, while the other walks away defeated. The circumstance didn't create the difference. Their thinking did. Your mind is like the architect of your life. Before a building is ever constructed, it exists as a blueprint. Before an inventor creates a new invention, it exists as an idea. Before an athlete wins a championship, victory has already been rehearsed thousands of times in the mind. Everything that becomes real begins as something invisible. The problem is that most people unknowingly become architects of limitation instead of architects of possibility. They repeat the same thoughts every day. I'm not good enough. Success is for other people. I'll probably fail. Things never work out for me. After repeating these thoughts for months or years, they begin to mistake them for facts. But a repeated thought is not necessarily the truth. It is simply a habit. And habits can be changed. If you truly want to change your life, you must first become aware of the conversations taking place inside your own mind. Because your external world is often reflecting what has been happening internally for a very long time. Every achievement begins with permission. The permission you give yourself to believe something greater is possible. Every breakthrough starts with a new mental picture before it ever becomes a physical result. You don't become successful because success suddenly appears at your door. You become successful because you begin thinking like a successful person long before anyone else notices the change. You carry yourself differently. You make better decisions. You stop reacting emotionally to every setback. You stop allowing temporary failures to define your permanent identity. This is where discipline becomes so powerful. Mental discipline doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It means refusing to let problems become your identity. It means choosing your response instead of surrendering to your emotions. It means waking up every day and reminding yourself that your future is being written by the thoughts you consistently entertain today. The mind is incredibly powerful because it follows direction. If you constantly feed it fear, it becomes an expert at finding danger. If you constantly feed it excuses, it becomes an expert at avoiding responsibility. But if you feed it purpose, possibility, confidence, and faith, it begins searching for opportunities that were always there, but previously invisible to you. Have you ever bought a new car and suddenly noticed that same model everywhere on the road? The cars weren't suddenly created overnight. They were always there. Your attention simply changed. Life works the same way. When your thinking changes, your awareness changes. When your awareness changes, your choices change. And when your choices change consistently, your entire life begins to move in a different direction. Never underestimate the quiet moments when you choose a better thought instead of an old limiting one. Those moments may seem small, but they are shaping your destiny one decision at a time. Remember, the life you experience tomorrow is being created by the thoughts you choose to believe today. Change the creator, and the creation will inevitably follow. If your mind is the creator of your reality, then the words you constantly speak to yourself become the tools of creation. Long before you speak to the world, you are speaking to yourself. Long before anyone hears your voice, there is another voice quietly shaping your confidence, your decisions, and your future. That inner conversation is one of the most powerful forces in your life because it is happening every single day, whether you are aware of it or not. Most people pay close attention to what others say about them, but very few pay attention to what they say about themselves. They remember every criticism from a stranger, yet they ignore the constant criticism coming from their own mind. Imagine carrying around someone who tells you every day, "You're not capable, you're too late, you're not smart enough, you'll never succeed." You would never choose that person as a friend. Yet many people allow that voice to live rent-free in their minds. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not with the economy, your competition, or difficult circumstances. It is the battle over the thoughts you allow to remain in your consciousness. Every day your mind offers you choices. You can accept thoughts that strengthen you, or you can entertain thoughts that slowly weaken your spirit. The choice is yours. Here's something worth remembering. Your subconscious mind does not spend its time arguing with you. It accepts what you repeatedly tell it. If every day you say, "I'm always unlucky," your mind begins looking for proof. If you constantly repeat, "Nothing ever works out for me," your attention starts collecting evidence to support that belief. Before long, what began as a passing thought becomes a personal identity. But the opposite is equally true. When you begin telling yourself, "I am growing stronger every day," your mind starts searching for moments of strength. When you remind yourself, "I am capable of learning whatever I need to learn," fear begins losing its grip. When you say, "Every challenge is making me wiser," obstacles stop looking like walls and start looking like teachers. This is not about pretending life is perfect. It is about choosing a perspective that gives you power instead of taking it away. Pay attention to the language you use, especially during difficult moments. Anyone can speak positively when life is easy. Character is revealed when things go wrong. When you experience a setback, do you immediately say, "This always happens to me"? Or do you ask, "What can this teach me? How can I grow from this?" One question creates despair. The other creates progress. Your inner conversations become your emotional climate. If your thoughts are filled with worry, your emotions will follow. If your thoughts are filled with gratitude and confidence, your emotions will begin aligning with those ideas. This is why discipline is so important. You cannot afford to leave your mind unattended. An undisciplined mind naturally drifts toward fear, doubt, comparison, and negativity. A disciplined mind deliberately chooses thoughts that build hope, courage, and determination. Think of your mind as a beautiful garden. If you neglect it, weeds will grow without permission. You don't have to plant fear for fear to appear. You don't have to cultivate doubt for doubt to spread. But confidence, wisdom, patience, and belief require intentional care. Every encouraging thought is a seed. Every repeated affirmation of possibility is water. Every decision to reject limiting beliefs is like pulling another weed from the soil. The quality of your future depends on the quality of what you repeatedly plant today. So begin listening to yourself. Become aware of those quiet moments when your mind starts telling old stories about who you are. Challenge them, replace them. Refuse to rehearse failure before it happens. Refuse to predict disappointment before you've even made the attempt. Speak to yourself with the same faith, encouragement, and expectation you would offer someone you deeply believe in. Because every great life is built twice. First in the silent conversations of the mind, and then in the visible results the world eventually sees. Choose your inner words carefully. because they are quietly becoming the life you will one day live. Once you begin guarding your inner conversations, something remarkable starts to happen. Your thinking becomes more intentional. You stop allowing random thoughts to dictate your emotions, and you begin directing your mind toward the future you truly desire. But there is another step that separates ordinary people from extraordinary achievers. It is the difference between hoping life will change someday and living today as the person you intend to become. Most people spend their lives moving toward their dreams. They say, when I become successful, I'll feel confident. When I earn more money, I'll feel secure. When I find the right opportunity, then I'll believe in myself. They postpone their identity until after the results arrive. But life rarely works that way. The people who create lasting success don't wait for the evidence before they change first. They decide who they are going to become, and then they begin living from that decisions every single day. Their circumstances may not reflect it yet, but their attitude does. Their habits do. Their choices do. Their expectations do. Think about the oak tree. Before anyone sees its branches stretching toward the sky, everything that determines its future already exists within the tiny seed. The seed doesn't question whether it has the ability to become a mighty tree. It simply follows its nature. In the same way, your future is not something you accidentally stumble upon. It grows from the identity you choose to nurture today. Ask yourself this question. If the future version of you were standing here right now, how would that person think? How would they respond to setbacks? How would they spend their mornings? What kind of conversations would they have? What habits would they refuse to tolerate? What standards would they live by? Those questions matter because success is not just something you achieve. Success is someone you become. 2, many people are waiting for confidence before they take action. But confidence is not a reward that comes at the end of the journey. It is a decision made at the beginning. You don't wake up one morning feeling fearless. You become fearless by acting in spite of fear, again and again, until courage becomes part of your character. This is why you must stop measuring your life only by what you can see today. If you judge your future solely by your present circumstances, you'll stay trapped by temporary conditions. Every great accomplishment once looked impossible. Every successful person once had days when there was no visible proof they were making progress. Yet they kept showing up because they had already accepted, deep within themselves, the identity of the person they were becoming. Imagine an artist standing before a blank canvas. To everyone else, it's just an empty surface. But in the artist's mind, the masterpiece already exists. Every brushstroke simply reveals what was already seen internally. Your life is no different. Every disciplined choice you make is another brushstroke. Every positive habit is another color added to the canvas. The picture becomes visible because it first became clear in the mind. That's why your daily actions must match the future you desire, not the circumstances you're trying to escape. If you want to become healthy, don't ask yourself what an unhealthy person feels like doing today. Ask what a healthy person would choose. If you want financial freedom, don't think like someone who believes there is never enough. Think like someone who values discipline, learning, patience, and wise decisions. If you want meaningful relationships, don't wait until people treat you differently before you become kind, patient, and trustworthy. Become those qualities first. Your identity always comes before your results. This idea changes everything because it shifts your focus away from chasing outcomes and toward building character. Results can disappear. Circumstances can change overnight. But the person you become stays with you. A disciplined person can lose everything and rebuild because the real wealth was never outside. It was within. There will be days when nothing seems to be changing. You'll work hard, stay committed, improve your habits, and still wonder why the results haven't appeared. Those are the moments when most people give up. They mistake silence for failure. They mistake delay for defeat. Don't make that mistake. Nature teaches us a valuable lesson. A farmer plants a seed and then waits. He doesn't dig it up every morning to see if it's growing. He waters it. He protects it. He trusts the process because he understands that unseen growth always comes before visible harvest. Your life follows the same principle. There are seasons when your greatest progress is happening beneath the surface. Your patience is growing. Your discipline is strengthening. Your character is being refined. Those things may not earn applause today, but they are preparing you for opportunities that would have overwhelmed the old version of you. Never underestimate the power of living as the person you intend to become. Walk with confidence before the promotion arrives. Practice generosity before wealth appears. Speak with hope before circumstances improve. Carry yourself with integrity when no one is watching. Every one of those choices is a declaration that your future is already shaping your present. The world responds differently to people who have decided who they are. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for certainty. They move with purpose because their identity is no longer tied to temporary circumstances. And here's the beautiful truth. When your identity changes, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your habits change. When your habits change, your future changes. It doesn't happen all at once, but it happens with absolute certainty for those who remain faithful to the person they have chosen to become. So stop living as someone who is merely hoping for a better life someday. Begin living today as the person capable of creating that life, because the future belongs to those who become it before they ever see it. When you begin living as the person you intend to become, you will quickly discover that the greatest challenge is not maintaining the vision. It is maintaining your emotional state. Anyone can feel inspired when everything is going well. Anyone can believe when life is unfolding exactly as planned. The real test comes when circumstances move against you, when doors close instead of opening, when the results you expected fail to appear, and when disappointment whispers that perhaps your dreams are too big after all. Those are the moments that define your future. Life is not controlled only by what you think. It is also influenced by what you consistently feel. Your emotions are powerful because they determine how long you stay committed, how you respond to difficulty, and whether you continue moving forward or quietly surrender. Most people spend their lives reacting emotionally to everything around them. A compliment lifts them. A criticism destroys them. A good day fills them with confidence. A bad day convinces them they are failures. Their emotional state is constantly changing because it depends entirely on external circumstances. But if your emotions are controlled by everything happening around you, then your life will always be controlled by things outside your control. That is not freedom. True freedom begins the moment you decide that your peace, your confidence, and your purpose will no longer be held hostage by temporary events. It begins when you realize that while you cannot always choose what happens to you, you can always choose the meaning you give it. Every event in life arrives without a permanent label attached to it. It is your interpretation that gives it power. One person loses a job and sees the end of their future. Another loses the same job and sees the beginning of a better opportunity. One person hears criticism and decides to quit. Another hears criticism and decides to improve. The event is similar. The emotional response is different. And because the emotional response is different, the outcome becomes different. This is why emotional discipline is one of the greatest skills you will ever develop. You must learn to pause before reacting. You must learn that not every feeling deserves your obedience. Just because you feel discouraged today does not mean you should stop. Just because you feel afraid does not mean danger is real. Just because you feel uncertain does not mean success is impossible. Feelings are real, but they are not always reliable. Imagine driving a car through heavy fog. The fog limits your vision, but it does not remove the road. If you panic simply because you cannot see far ahead, you may stop moving altogether. But if you trust the direction, stay calm, and continue carefully, eventually the fog begins to disappear. Negative emotions work the same way. Fear creates mental fog. Doubt creates mental fog. Worry creates mental fog. They make temporary uncertainty feel permanent. They convince you that because you cannot see the solution, no solution exists. Never make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Instead, train yourself to become emotionally steady. When success comes, stay humble. When failure comes, stay hopeful. When praise comes, stay grounded. When criticism comes, stay teachable. Balance is far more powerful than emotional extremes. There is a quiet strength in people who remain calm during chaos. They do not waste energy complaining. They do not allow every obstacle to become a personal crisis. They understand that storms eventually pass, but the decisions made during the storm often determine what waits on the other side. Think about a captain sailing across the ocean. The captain cannot control the wind. He cannot stop the waves or command the weather, but he can control the sails. He can adjust his direction. He can remain calm while others panic. Your emotions are like the wind. Sometimes they will be favorable. Sometimes they will be fierce. Wisdom is not found in eliminating emotion. Wisdom is found in learning how to navigate it without losing your direction. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for emotional mastery. When you intentionally focus on what is still good, your problems lose the ability to consume your entire perspective. Gratitude does not deny difficulty. It reminds you that difficulty is not the whole story. Hope is another powerful discipline. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is the quiet confidence that today's struggle does not have the final word. It allows you to continue planting seeds even when the harvest has not yet appeared. Patience also becomes essential. We live in a world that demands instant results. We expect overnight success, immediate recognition, and quick rewards. But the most valuable things in life develop slowly. Strong character takes time. Lasting wisdom takes time. Deep confidence takes time. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are rarely the fastest. They are simply the ones who refuse to quit when progress feels invisible. Protect your emotional energy carefully. Be mindful of what you read, what you watch, and the people you spend time with. Negativity is contagious. Constant complaining has a way of becoming your own inner voice if you hear it often enough. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, who remind you of your potential, and who encourage responsibility instead of excuses. Above all, refuse to let fear become your identity. Fear may knock on your door, but you do not have to invite it inside. Disappointment may visit your life, but it does not have to become your permanent address. Anxiety may speak loudly, but confidence can speak more consistently if you choose to nourish it every day. Remember, your destiny is not determined by the emotions that visit you. It is determined by the emotions you choose to live from consistently. The strongest person is not the one who never feels fear, sadness, or frustration. The strongest person is the one who feels those emotions, acknowledges them, and still chooses wisdom over impulse, purpose over comfort, and faith over doubt. Because the moment you stop allowing your emotions to control your decisions is the moment your decisions begin shaping the destiny you were always capable of creating. Once you learn to master your emotions, you gain something that very few people possess, the ability to remain steady when life becomes uncertain. But emotional control alone is not enough. There is another quality that turns dreams into reality, goals into achievements, and vision into results. That quality is persistence. That persistence is often misunderstood. Many people think persistence means simply working harder or refusing to quit. But true persistence is much deeper than that. It is the decision to remain faithful to your purpose, long after the excitement has faded. It is continuing to believe when there is no applause, continuing to improve when there is no recognition, and continuing to move forward when every visible sign seems to suggest you should turn back. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a few weeks and underestimate what they can accomplish in a few years. They begin with enthusiasm, but they stop when the journey becomes uncomfortable. They mistake slow progress for failure, and because they cannot see immediate results, they convince themselves that nothing is happening. But life does not reward those who start. It rewards those who continue. Think about the way water shapes stone. A single drop seems insignificant. It has no great force, no dramatic power. Yet if that drop continues falling in the same place, day after day, month after month, year after year, even the hardest rock begins to change. The water succeeds, not because it is stronger than the stone, but because it is more consistent. Your daily efforts work exactly the same way. One disciplined morning may not change your life. One workout may not transform your body. One book may not make you wise. One conversation may not open every door. But repeated over months and years, those small actions become impossible to ignore. Success is rarely created by one extraordinary moment. It is usually the result of ordinary actions, repeated with extraordinary consistency. This is where so many people lose the battle. They become addicted to quick results. They want immediate proof that their efforts are working. If they don't receive encouragement quickly enough, they stop. If they face rejection, they assume the dream wasn't meant for them. If they encounter obstacles, they begin searching for an easier path. But every worthwhile destination requires endurance. Imagine climbing a mountain. The higher you climb, the more difficult the journey becomes. Your legs grow tired. The air becomes thinner. There are moments when the summit disappears behind clouds, and you begin wondering whether it is still there at all. The person who reaches the top is not always the strongest or the fastest. More often, it is the one who simply refuses to stop climbing. Your dreams deserve that same determination. There will be seasons when you feel like you're making no progress. You will question yourself. You will question your decisions. You may even question your purpose. During those moments, remember this: progress is not always visible. A tree spends years growing roots before it becomes tall enough for everyone to admire. While people see only the trunk and the branches, the tree knows its strength was built where no one was watching. Your life is no different. There are seasons when your greatest growth is happening beneath the surface. Your discipline is becoming stronger. Your patience is becoming deeper. Your character is becoming more dependable. Your wisdom is expanding. These invisible victories eventually produce visible success, but only if you remain committed long enough. Never allow temporary disappointment to steal permanent possibilities. Failure is often misunderstood. People think failure is the opposite of success. It isn't. Failure is part of success. Every mistake teaches something valuable. Every setback reveals an area that needs improvement. Every obstacle develops strength that comfort could never produce. The only true failure is deciding to stop growing. Look back at your own life. Think about challenges that once seemed impossible. There were moments you believed you would never overcome them, yet here you are, stronger, wiser, more experienced. What felt like an ending became preparation for the next chapter. That should give you confidence. If you survived those challenges, you can survive the ones in front of you as well. One of the greatest enemies of persistence is comparison. People compare their beginning to someone else's middle. They see another person's success and assume it happened overnight. What they don't see are the years of preparation, sacrifice, disappointment, learning, and quiet perseverance that happened before anyone noticed. Stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. Your journey belongs to you. Every person has a different pace, a different path, and different lessons to learn. The important question is not whether you're moving faster than someone else. The important question is whether you're moving forward at all. Even the smallest step taken consistently is more powerful than the grandest intention that never becomes action. Protect your vision during difficult seasons. There will always be people who don't understand your dream. Some will doubt you. Some will discourage you. Some will tell you to be realistic simply because they have abandoned their own ambitions. Do not allow another person's limitations to become your own. Instead, let every challenge strengthen your resolve. Let every setback refine your strategy. Let every delay increase your patience. Every obstacle carries within it the opportunity to become someone wiser, stronger, and more capable than you were before. Remember, diamonds are created under pressure, not comfort. Steel becomes strong because it passes through intense heat. Character develops the same way. Ease rarely produces greatness. Resistance does. So when life becomes difficult, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "Who is this challenge helping me become?" That single question transforms frustration into purpose. The people who eventually change the world are rarely the most gifted. More often, they are simply the ones who stayed with the mission after everyone else walked away. They continued when motivation disappeared. They believed when evidence was scarce. They worked when nobody was watching. And eventually, reality caught up with the vision they refused to abandon. Never underestimate the power of showing up one more day, making one more effort, learning one more lesson, and taking one more step forward. Great lives are not built through dramatic moments of inspiration alone. They are built through quiet moments of persistence, repeated over and over, until success has no choice but to appear. Because in the end, reality always yields to the person who refuses to surrender before the work is finished. As we come to the final thought, I want to leave you with an idea that has the power to transform everything we've talked about today. We've explored how your mind creates your reality, how your inner conversations shape your future, why you must live from the person you intend to become, why mastering your emotions gives you control over your destiny, and why persistence eventually changes reality. But all of these principles lead to one powerful conclusion. Before life gives you new results, it asks you to become a new person. This is where many people get stuck. They want a different life while holding on to the same habits, the same mindset, the same excuses, and the same identity. They hope success will change them. But success doesn't create character. It reveals it. The qualities that sustain extraordinary achievements are developed long before extraordinary achievements arrive. Ask yourself honestly, who am I becoming every single day? Not what do you want to have? Not where do you want to go? Who are you becoming? That question changes your focus completely. When your attention is fixed only on results, every delay feels discouraging. Every obstacle feels personal. Every setback makes you wonder if you're on the wrong path. But when your focus shifts to becoming the right person, every experience becomes valuable. Success teaches you humility. Failure teaches you resilience. Challenges teach you patience. Every season has something to offer, because every season is shaping your character. Character is the foundation that holds success together. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper on weak ground. No matter how beautiful the building looks, it cannot stand if the foundation is unstable. In the same way, lasting success cannot rest upon an undisciplined mind, inconsistent habits, or weak character. The stronger the life you want to build, the stronger the person you must become. So stop asking, when will my opportunity come? Start asking, am I preparing myself for the opportunity when it arrives? Because opportunities often appear without warning. The promotion comes. The business opportunity appears. The right relationship enters your life. The chance you've been praying for finally arrives. The real question is not whether opportunity will come. The real question is whether the person standing there is prepared to receive it. Preparation always comes before promotion. Think about the habits that define successful people. They are punctual even when nobody notices. They keep their word even when breaking it would be easier. They continue learning even after achieving success. They remain disciplined even when they have every excuse not to be. Those habits are not performances. They are reflections of identity. You cannot consistently act against who you believe you are. If you believe you're careless, you'll eventually become careless again. If you believe you're undisciplined, you'll return to old habits. But if you begin seeing yourself as someone who is responsible, focused, patient, and dependable, your actions gradually align with that belief. Your identity is like the thermostat in your home. You can temporarily raise the temperature by using external motivation, but eventually the room returns to whatever the thermostat is set to. In the same way, temporary motivation may help you for a few days, but lasting transformation happens only when your internal identity changes. That's why discipline is not punishment. Discipline is proof that you've decided to become someone greater than your current habits. Every morning you wake up with a choice. You can continue living as the person shaped by yesterday's fears, yesterday's excuses, and yesterday's limitations. Or you can choose to live as the person your future requires. That choice is made in the ordinary moments. When no one is watching, when the alarm clock rings, when you're tired, when you feel discouraged, when you're tempted to settle for less than you're capable of. Those quiet decisions build extraordinary lives. Never underestimate the value of becoming the kind of person people can trust. Become someone who keeps promises. Become someone who finishes what they start. Become someone who brings encouragement instead of complaints, solutions instead of excuses, and hope instead of fear. The world has enough people waiting for perfect conditions. It desperately needs more people who are willing to grow regardless of the conditions. Remember, people don't follow titles. They follow character. Families aren't strengthened by good intentions. They're strengthened by consistent love and responsibility. Businesses aren't built by occasional effort. They're built by dependable leadership. Great lives are not created by talent alone. They are created by the daily decision to become a little wiser, a little kinder, a little stronger, and a little more disciplined than you were yesterday. One day, you'll look back and realize that the greatest reward was never the money, the recognition, or the achievements. The greatest reward was the person you became while pursuing them. So don't wait for success to tell you who you are. Decide who you are today. Live with that conviction every day, and allow your life to become the natural reflection of the person you've chosen to become. Because when you become the right person, the right results eventually become unavoidable. The world doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to who you believe you are. The disciplined mind refuses to surrender to fear, doubt, or limitation. The moment you master your thoughts, your emotions, and your identity, you don't merely change your circumstances. You change the force that creates them. Discipline your mind today, and your future will have no choice but to follow.